So, what were the 10 deadliest pandemics in recorded history? In this explainer, we are counting them down. And trust me, these aren't just stories about disease. No, these are the stories of the events that completely remade our world. So, let's dive in.
But right off the bat, we run into a huge challenge. I mean, think about it. For most of human history, there was no global death registry. So, the numbers we have are really just estimates. They're painstakingly pieced together by historians from ancient tax records, old church logs, and even archaeological digs.
Exactly. As the historian David Hurley puts it, exact figures are basically impossible. So, what you're about to see is the best investigation we have, using a range of estimates. Just keep that in mind as we begin the countdown. All right, let's get this countdown started. Kicking off our list at number 10, the Asian flu of the late 1950s. This H2N2 influenza virus spread all across the globe. And yeah, while it's the least deadly on our list, it still claimed millions of lives and was a major public health crisis of the 20th century. Okay, so from a modern flu, we go way back to a virus meeting a population for the very first time. At number 9, we see just how catastrophic a new disease can be, the 1520 smallpox epidemic in Mexico. When Spanish colonizers brought the variola virus over, the indigenous population was immunologically naive. They had absolutely no defense. The virus just tore through Mexico, killing up to 37% of the entire population. It completely paved the way for the European conquest. From a pandemic that enabled a conquest to one that nearly broke an empire from the inside out. So for number 8, we're going all the way back to the Roman Empire and the Antonine Plague. For 15 years, a disease, probably smallpox, that soldiers brought back from the East just ravaged the empire. At its peak, it was killing up to 2,000 people a day in Rome alone. It decimated the army, and some think its victims even included the emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius. Next up, a pandemic that was a complete mystery for almost 500 years. Number 7 is the Coca-Leasley epidemic. Now, just decades after that smallpox disaster, a new plague struck Mexico, this time killing up to 80% of the people who were left. For centuries, nobody knew what caused it. But just recently, DNA analysis of victims' teeth finally identified the killer, a form of salmonella. All right, now for a disease we've actually already mentioned, making a terrifying comeback. Coming in at number 6 is the last time one of history's most feared diseases went truly global. The third plague pandemic. This third great wave of bubonic plague kicked off in China in the mid-19th century. But this time was different. Science was finally catching up. Scientists were able to identify the bacterium Yersinia pestis and figured out that it was transmitted by fleas on rats. And that knowledge, that was the game changer that paved the way for modern control measures. And at number 5, well, this is an experience we all share. COVID-19. The official numbers are incredibly high, but because of all the challenges in collecting data, calculating excess mortality, and reporting issues, a lot of credible estimates put the true death toll much higher. What's so striking here is that even the low end of this range puts a 21st century pandemic firmly among the deadliest in all of human history. Next up, a pandemic that is still very much with us today. At number 4 is HIV/AIDS. For more than 40 years, this virus has been a global crisis. It probably spread silently for decades before it was finally identified back in 1981. And while modern medicine has thankfully made it a manageable condition for many, it's still incurable, and the vast majority of deaths have been in sub-Saharan Africa. And now we enter the top 3, okay? These are the mega disasters, events that cause death on a scale that is almost impossible to wrap your head around. The third deadliest pandemic in history. The Plague of Justinian. This was the first time the bubonic plague was ever recorded, and it absolutely ripped through the Byzantine Empire. At its very peak, it was killing 10,000 people a day in Constantinople. So many people were dying so fast that they just stacked the bodies in public squares. And at number 2, the single deadliest pandemic of the entire modern era. The 1918 flu, which is often misnamed the Spanish flu. What made this H1N1 virus so terrifying wasn't just its death toll, which was up to 100 million people. No, it was who it killed. Unlike a typical flu that hits the very young and the very old, this thing struck down healthy young adults in the prime of their lives. Some estimates suggest it killed as many as 8 to 10% of all young adults on the entire planet. And this quote really illustrates the sheer horror of it all. The virus infected a third of the world's population. Society completely broke down. I mean, in major American cities, they ran out of coffins. In other parts of the world, there was literally no one left to even bury the dead. And now, for the single deadliest pandemic in recorded human history. The Black Death. Between 1346 and 1353, this second wave of bubonic plague killed between 75 and 200 million people. Just think about that. In Europe alone, up to 60% of the entire population died. It was a catastrophe on a scale that has never been seen since. And it had a profound consequence. The huge labor shortage it created helped shatter the feudal system, which changed the course of Western civilization forever. So here's the crucial point, right? These pandemics aren't just about death tolls. They are historical turning points. They don't just kill people, they reorder entire civilizations from the ground up. And to see how this works, just look at one single pathogen, Yersinia pestis, the plague bacterium. It came back in 3 massive waves over 1,300 years, and each time, it was like hitting a giant reset button on history. You know, these events are what one source calls pathological pathfinders. The Black Death creates labor shortages that end feudalism. Smallpox epidemics in the Americas create a vacuum that allows for European colonization. The cholera pandemics of the 19th century, they forced cities to build modern sanitation and public health systems. They are, in a very real way, the architects of our modern world. But this history isn't just about the past. It forces us to ask some really serious questions about our own future. We've seen undeniable proof of this all the way through our countdown. The death toll is only the beginning of the story. The real impact is the deep structural change that always follows in a pandemic's wake. And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? We know another pandemic is going to come. We just don't know when or what it will be. But history shows us that the fallout will be profound. So the question isn't if our world will be reordered again. It's how.